Horton Hatches the Egg by Dr. Seuss. Published by Random House of New York. Copyright 1940. See the bird in the tree with the little red egg? That's Maisie. Sighed Maisie, a lazy bird, hatching an egg. I'm tired, I'm bored, and I've kinks in my leg. From just sitting here, day after day. It's work, how I hate it. I'd much rather play. I'd take a vacation, fly off for a rest, if I could find someone to stay on my nest. If I could find someone, I'd fly away free. Then Horton the elephant passed by her tree. Hello, called Lazy Bird, smiling her best. You've nothing to do, I do need a rest. Would you like to sit on an egg in my nest? The elephant laughed. Why, of all silly things, I haven't feathers and I haven't wings. Me on your egg? Why, that doesn't make sense. Your egg is so small, man, and I'm so immense. Tut tut, answered Maisie. I know you're not small, but I'm sure you can do it. No trouble at all. Just sit on it softly, you're gentle and kind. Come, be a good fellow, I know you won't mind. I can't, said the elephant. Please, begged the bird. I won't be gone long, sir. I'll give you my word. I'll hurry right back. What? Why? I'll never be missed. Very well, said the elephant, since you insist. You want a vacation? Go fly off and take it. I'll sit on your egg, and I'll try not to break it. I'll stay and be faithful, I mean what I say. Toodaloo, sang Maisie, and fluttered away. Off she goes. The first thing to do, murmured Horton. Let's see. The first thing to do is prop up this tree and make it much stronger. That has to be done before I can get on it. I must weigh a ton. Then carefully, tenderly, gently he crept up the trunk of the nest where the little egg slept. Oh, that big elephant on that little branch. Then Horton the elephant smiled. Now that's that. And he sat, and he sat, and he sat, and he sat. And he sat all day, and he kept the egg warm. And he sat all that night. Through a terrible storm, it poured and it lightning, it thundered, it rumbled. This isn't much fun, the poor elephant grumbled. I'd wish she'd come back, 'cause I'm cold and I'm wet. I hope that Maisie bird doesn't forget. But Maisie by this time was far beyond reach, enjoying the sunshine way off in Palm Beach, and having such fun and a wonderful rest. Decided she'd never go back to her nest. Uh-oh, there she's up the tree. So Horton kept sitting there day after day, and soon it was autumn. The leaves blew away, and then came the winter, the snow and the sleet. The icicles hung from his trunk and his feet. But Horton kept sitting and said with a sneeze, I'd stay in this egg, and I won't let it freeze. I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful, 100%. Oh, he looks so cold. So poor Horton sat there the whole winter through, and he came the springtime with troubles anew. His friends gathered round, and they shouted with glee, Look, Horton, the elephant is up in a tree. They taunted and teased, and they yelled, How absurd! Old Horton, the elephant, thinks he's a bird. They laughed, and they laughed, and they all ran away. And Horton was lonely. He wanted to play. But he sat on the egg, and he continued to say, I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful, 100%. No matter what happens, this egg must be tended. But poor Horton's troubles were far, far from ended. For while Horton sat there so faithful, so kind, 3 hunters came sneaking up softly behind. Uh-oh. He heard the men's footsteps. He turned with a start. 3 rifles were aiming right straight at his heart. Did he run? He did not. Horton stayed on the nest. He held his head high, and he threw out his chest. He looked at the hunters, as much to say, Shoot me if you must, but I won't run away. I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful, 100%. But the men didn't shoot. Much to Horton's surprise, they dropped their 3 guns, and they stared with wide eyes. Look! They all shouted, Can such a thing be? An elephant sitting on top of a tree? It's strange, it's amazing, it's wonderful, new! Don't shoot him! We'll catch him, that's what we'll do. We'll take him alive. Why, he's terribly funny. We'll sell him back home to a circus for money. Uh-oh. And the first thing he knew, they had built a big wagon with ropes on the front for the pullers to drag on. They dug up his tree and they put it inside with Horton so sad he practically cried. "We're off," the men shouted, and off they all went with Horton unhappy 100%. Up out of the jungle, up into the sky, over the mountains 10,000 feet high, then down the mountains, and down to the sea went the cart with the elephant, egg, nest, and tree. Then out of the wagon and onto a ship, out over the ocean. Oh, what a trip! Rolling and tossing and splashed with the spray, and Horton said day after day, "I meant what I said, and I said what I meant, but oh, I'm seasick 100%. After bobbing around for 2 weeks like a cork, they landed at last at the town of New York. "All ashore," the men shouted, and down with a lurch went Horton the elephant, still on his perch, tied to the board that could just scarcely hold him. Bump! Horton landed, and then the men sold him. Sold to a circus. Then week after week, they showed him to people at 10 cents a peek. They took him to Boston, to Kalamazoo, Chicago, Weehawken, and Washington too. To Dayton, Ohio, St. Paul, Minnesota, to Wichita, Kansas, to Drake, North Dakota. And everywhere thousands of folks flocked to see and laughed at the elephant up in the tree. Poor Horton grew sadder, and farther he went. But he said, as he sat in the hot, noisy tent, "I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. An elephant's faithful, 100%. 10 cents a ticket. That's pretty cheap now, but back in 1940, I guess that was a lot." Then one day, the circus show happened to reach the town way down south, not so far from Palm Beach. And dawdling along way up and high in the sky, who of all people should chance to fly by? By that old good-for-nothing bird, Runaway Maisie, still on vacation and still just as lazy. And spying the flags and the tents just below, she sang out, "What fun! Why, I'll go to the show." And she swooped from the clouds through the open tent door. "Good gracious," gasped Maisie, "I've seen you before." Poor Horton looked up with his face white as chalk. He started to speak, but before he could talk, there rang out the noisiest ear-splitting squeaks from the egg that he sat on for 51 weeks. A thumping, a bumping, a wild alive scratching. "My egg!" shouted Horton. "My egg! Why, it's hatching!" "But it's mine!" screamed the bird when she heard the egg crack. The work was all done, now she wanted it back. "It's my egg," she sputtered. "You stole it from me. Get off my nest and get out of my tree." Poor Horton backed down with a sad, heavy heart. But at that very instant, the egg burst apart, and out of the pieces of red and white shell from the egg that he sat on so long and so well, Horton the elephant saw something whiz. It had ears and a tail and a trunk just like his. What? And the people came shouting, "What's all this about?" They looked, and they stared with their eyes popping out. Then they cheered, and they cheered, and they cheered more and more. They never seen anything like it before. My goodness, my gracious, they shouted, "My word! It's something brand new. It's an elephant bird!" And it should be, and it should be, it should be like that, because Horton was faithful. He sat and he sat. He meant what he said, and he said what he meant. And they sent him home, happy, 100%. The end. Horton Hatches the Egg by Dr. Seuss.